So welcome all of you. My name is Maya, and for those of you who don't know me yet, I'm the student coordinator in ReDI School, and I will be leading this info day today together with Frida, who you will meet in a while. This is the info day for both user experience and user interface, two of our courses in the spring. So together here we are some new applicants who don't know ReDI School yet, and some current students who are interested in the user interface. And the agenda for today is that I will tell you a little bit about ReDI School for those of you who don't know ReDI School yet. And then Frida will say some more about the courses, UX and UI, and the content. Then we will move on to talk a bit more about how it is to be a ReDI student. And here we will have the perspective from Elnas, who is a former student. And then I will say all the practicalities about being a ReDI student and what we expect from you and the whole frame. And then at the end, I will tell you about the process from here if you find it relevant for you to apply. And yeah, then we end up answering all the questions you still might have. And if you, during this info session, have some questions, just please write them in the chat, and then we will try to answer it during the presentation. Yeah, it can be a bit one-way communication in this online way of doing an info day. So just please feel free to write any comment, and then we'll try to answer it. You are also welcome to answer your question, to ask your question on video if you prefer that. Before getting into more stuff about ReDI School, we would normally do a little exercise to get to know each other, but since this is online, we just prepared a tiny little check-in. So if you all go to slido.com, and no stress, we'll just take some minutes for all of you to get there. You go to slido.com and you're asked to type in a code, and you type in this code you see here. And then we just take some minutes. So when you're all in, some questions will occur, and you just choose the answer you find suitable for you. Mm-hmm. How many are in right now? We could see 17. Okay. Let's just give it some seconds. All right. All right, I think we have everyone in. So we'll start with the first question, which is, how are you today? And it's anonymous, so don't feel bad if your Monday is not that the best Monday ever. All of you who has not chosen an answer yet, you can just click on the answer you find occurs to your situation today. And if you find difficulties typing in an answer, don't worry. It's just for fun. It doesn't matter. Okay, it looks like most of you say I'm good. We still need some of you to fill in your answer, but it looks like the picture is that you're kind of good today, even though it's a bit late. And some are tired, which I also understand. And we're very happy that you could join this, even though it was in the evening. All right. Yes, let's take the next question. Which course are you interested in? Is it user experience or user interface? All right. It's a big bunch of both. All right, great. It's just good for us to know, so we can direct this info day to you. Okay, it's actually 50-50 right now. Great. Great. Then let's go back to the presentation. Thank you for your answers. It's kind of a different check-in when it's online, but it's nice to get to know each other a little bit better. I will just say briefly about ReDI School, why we're doing what we are, for those of you who don't know yet. ReDI School started in Germany and came to Denmark 1.5 years ago, so we are about to start our 4th semester. And the big why we're doing is that ReDI School saw that women with background as refugee or migrant face a lot of barriers that people born and raised in Denmark don't meet. And it's regarding both personal, social, and professional life, and related to if you want to unfold your life here in Denmark, then it's just much more difficult because you're new, you don't have a network, you don't have the Danish language yet, and so forth. And therefore, ReDI School is here to create new social and professional opportunities for women. And we work with 2 different groups of students. We have the digital literacy students, which are women who are completely new in the digital world. We have computer for beginner classes where they learn how to use a computer and how to behave like on how to be digital on a basic level in the everyday life and in applying for jobs. And then we have the other group of students, which is amongst others the tech students who are interested in pursuing a digital career and want to work with creating IT and just want to build on your IT skills or want to turn your career towards that direction. So we have 2 very different groups of students, but both face this closed doors, you could say, when trying to move ahead with unfolding the situation in Denmark in their life. So how we work with this is that we believe that it's not only about the skills, what you can actually do, but it's also, as I said, about the network and who you know, and also how you think about yourself in a certain situation, all the soft skills. And then what you believe, if you actually have confidence in that this can be a success, that you can do it. So all this together we see as digital empowerment, and the aim of ReDI School is to break down these barriers by hopefully giving you as students some more digital empowerment. And to be more detail-oriented, what we actually do is that we have these courses. We have, as you have seen on the website, we have 4 tech courses in the spring semester. UX and UI are 2 of them. and there you get all the skills that you can show off in when you're applying for a job. Then we offer some workshops in different areas. It could be presenting techniques, more like soft skills. It could also be knowing your competencies and stuff like that. And we do also offer career advising with some volunteer career advisors, where you can just drop in or sign up for it and then show up every second Thursday, and then there will be some career advising only for you, one-on-one with them. And then as a third thing, we do have company visits. Of course, it's different now due to the corona situation, but we had a company visit last week. Maybe some of you joined, some of the current students, but it was at TDC and it was online, and it still worked out sort of well. I mean, it's not the same as being present at the company, but it still give you the insight of how it is to be at the company, what they search for when they have open vacancies, new vacancies, and you get sort of our hope is that it will also link you to some people there, maybe to broaden your network. So that is what we do to try to help all of you in the situation where you are. And now Frida will tell a little bit more about the content of the two courses. And for those of you who already know UX very well, you can just sip some coffee while waiting for the UI part. Yes.
Yes, and you're also welcome to just add to what I'm saying if you have already taken the UX course and feel that you know more about it than I do, because I haven't taken the course myself. But I'm the volunteer coordinator at ReDI School, so I'm the one who finds the teachers and talks with them about the curriculum and design it together with them. So that's why I'm telling about it. And yeah, as Maya said, I want to start with telling about the user experience course. I would like to describe like navigating a homepage as if it can sometimes be as going through a maze. It should be really simple, but often when you go to a web page, it can be really difficult to figure out where to, maybe if it's ReDI School, where to apply for being a student, or figuring out how to sign up for the info session. It can sometimes also be if you have to go on a shopping experience, then you don't know what you put in, what you're actually going to buy, because you can't see it before pushing the buttons. So sometimes web pages isn't as simple as they should be. And that's really what user experience is about. It's about creating nice user experiences online. So to go a bit more into detail, it's also about creating an experience that is meaningful for the users, which means that it's taking the user's perspective. It's not just something the person who has built the web page thinks would be nice. It's about going into the mentality of users by making user analysis, and then afterwards creating a structure on the web page based on what you know about the users. And actually what you will learn at the user experience course is what you see here. I know it doesn't look like a final web page, because that's actually not what you will learn doing when you work with user experience. It's actually mostly focused on the analysis, and then afterwards you will know from the users, for example, how many pictures you should have, where the buttons should be. So it's actually about creating a wireframe, as it's called, what you can see on the picture. So a rough sketch of how the web page should be like. And then the user experience course is actually really project oriented, because you go from not knowing the users at all to picking a case when you then get in contact with some people you can make a user analysis by talking with or interviewing them. And then afterwards, you will learn a program called Figma, where you can build this structure. So this is actually the final point of the user experience course, that you will have a rough sketch that you can show to the company you work for, and they can see if it's something that they find interesting to look more into themselves. And then the user interface course is actually what's built right upon the user experience course. If you work with UI, you would already have the rough patch or rough sketch from the ones before you in the process. And then what you will do is that you will you will be the ones who make the interaction possible. Because the interaction is not really possible before there's a real picture and before there's a real button. So what you do if you work with user interface is that you figure out how it's going to look and what the style of it should be like. So it's about finding the right colors and finding the right logos, the right pictures. So much more about style. And what you'll learn on the user interface course is that actually there's a lot of theory within the area. It's not just about saying, I think this looks nice or I like this color, but there's a lot of different guidelines and stuff that you need to learn to be able to know what kind of patterns you can follow and how the text should be like, how it looks best for the most people. And then, of course, there's also some stuff related to figuring out if like it also has to be tested. So the people doing the user experience also test that design. But after you start to build the look upon it, then you'll also test it with the users, also to see if maybe there's some elements you haven't taken into account. It could, for example, be that a button is red, but it's a go button, and then it's not leading you in the right direction. So that's actually a UX and user interface together is like a real art. You can just work with one of them, but you can also build upon them to work with both. Mostly in small companies, they would require that you know both user experience and user interface. But in larger companies, they would often divide the roles. So one would work with the user experience, and then of course collaborate with the one creating the interface. But it's just two different phases in the design of the web page. So yeah, that's what I had to say about the user experience and interface course. And of course, both of them is project oriented, as it follows the same path that you would do if you were a consultant doing it for a company. And this is just a picture showing the difference between the two, just for clarification. Also showing what we saw at the beginning about the user research on the UX side, and also sometimes you create some scenarios to, for example, say the user will go to our webpage to buy a new pair of jeans. How accessible is it for them to buy a pair of jeans? And then you will do the wireframe, and you will also think about the interaction design. And then on the user interface side, they will build upon the interaction design with the colors and the typography and more of the graphical design. But graphic design can also be another level to it. So it's mostly about typography, colors, and layout. And I think, I don't know, questions? I think we will take the questions later, right?
Yeah, just please write in.
Yeah, you're welcome already now to write questions in the chat if there's something you don't feel that you know about user experience or user interface, or about how the course works, then you can just write it in the chat now and we will answer the questions a bit later.
All right. Then we will continue with the part about being a ready student. And before I say a lot about the framework and expectations and everything, we have Elnas to present her perspective of being a ready student. So thank you, Elnas, because you want to share your experience of being in ready. I have not been a ready student, so it's really valuable that you want to share your perspectives on it. Take it away.
Hi, how are you? I'm very glad I'm here.
I guess you're on mute, Elnas.
No, we can hear her. No.
Can you hear
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
we can. Yeah,
sorry.
we
It
can
was
hear.
my fault.
me? Yeah, it's okay. So
It's fine.
that's fine, yeah. Actually, I joined ReDI school about 1 year ago. It was very good experience. The difference between the ReDI classes and other UX classes that I take online is that we had a very practical and practical things, and we do lots of things in groups, which I really liked it. I can remember one time for testing UX, we went to Neto and normal to test that if we understand the concepts or not. So it's really practical and you do everything. And so it was a very great experience for me. We had different teachers at the school, and so we learned many things from them. And also they talk about many trendy things, for example, dark pattern in UX, and I think that it is very valuable. I like to also show you
Elders, can you say what that is? The words you just said.
which word?
The patterns, and can you elaborate? Sorry.
Dark pattern. Dark.
Yeah. Yeah, the dark patterns. Can you elaborate on what that does mean? If some here never heard about it before.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks.
For example, dark patterns are different patterns that make user to stay in a website, but it's not very not legal, but not ethical. For example, you want to buy something, but you know that it is, for example, 200 kronas. But when you want to finalize it, you see that it's you have something else in your basket, and also, for example, you see that the price increases because they didn't mention that it has tax, for example, 100 crowns tax. So what it causes you that to not proceed with the purchases, and you don't like to one more time buy anything from this shop because you think online shop, because you think they are cheating you. So it is very important to know about dark patterns. It is just one of the dark patterns that I mentioned. It is for example, if I want to mention another thing, it's about it make you to buy everything very fast. For example, you see that on many websites that only one left, but then you figure out, oh, they had many of that item, but they said that it's only one left. So these are called dark patterns that it is important to have in your websites. And also, I like to share my screen to show you my final project in ReDI School. So I think I cannot share my screen because someone else is sharing. Can I stop it, please? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Actually, I did UC redesign, and I also go through all the steps of UX design, which is very important. But I know you don't know it maybe for now, but I can show you. For example, I went through these steps to find a better solution for their websites. I check out the comments and I see what the problems they had. And I did some surveys, and also I find their pain points, catching their pain points. And this is all the steps that we went through this course to find out a final solution. And for example, here I can see that it was hard for people to get to their navigation. So I defined some solutions based on the people, based on what people said. And for example, you can see my final. This is one of the pages that I created at the end. And you can see that the navigation is very clear. And these are the things all that I learned in my class. And this is the project that I did it through the class. But also I have another project that I did it in other, actually after ReDI school. I went through the process, but I don't like to bother you because the process maybe is too much heavy. But I can show you the final results. So maybe I should share it again. Can you see my screen now? Yes. I should say that what is the project is actually. Actually, the project is about a gallerist which buy the arts and they sell the arts and find the gallery together. It's an online gallery website. So, and I created after so much researching and can see that everything is interactive and you can press everything. And this is also created in Figma. This is for one of my interviews I had. This is the project for them. And also I have other, very quickly show you the result of one of and this is just a UI thing that is a UI project that one of the interviews that I had, they wanted. They give me the color palette and I go to read it. So, and this is the project I had and I would like to share it with you. I hope you enjoy it, and if you have any question, I'm here to answer. Yes.
It's really cool, some really cool projects. Sorry, we have some technical issues sometimes. I hope you can hear me now. No, it's some really cool projects. They're really nice. I just want to say that, of course, you can't get to learn all of that stuff in only one course. I think unless you have worked a bit more with it, but I think the first one is really, it really fits what you will be learning at the UX course. And then we also had some questions about what course you should start with taking. Actually, new students can only start out with the UX course. User interface, I believe it only makes sense if you already know about UX. So the plan is that the student would always start with the UX course, and then they can build upon the UI course. So if you're new and sitting here and thinking the UI looks way more fun than UX, then it's a process. You'll have to start with UX because that's really relevant. So you can collaborate or maybe do it whole yourself. I think that's some of the questions. And then there's one question asking whether a web designer is more towards UI and UX. And actually a web design person is a really broad category. So being a web designer also includes the creative parts, so both the UX and the UI. But what is specific about being a web designer is that they also do some technical stuff. So that's also coding within it. Actually, often there is, maybe not always, but it's just a broad category saying that as a web designer, you would start with planning and creating and also coding the different stuff of a web page. So it's in some way the whole package. If you're mostly interested in design, then I guess UI is what you would find mostly interesting, especially if it's something also about graphical design, because UX is more focused towards the analytical elements, where UI is more focused on the design elements. So there is a difference, but it's often it's part of the same project. Yeah. And then there's asked, Figma is in UX or UI. Figma is used in UX. In UI, you can also use Figma. I think Figma is the mostly used tool, but there's also other tools on the market. And we will be doing the UI course with Adobe. Because when you come to a company, you won't know if they use Figma or Adobe or some other tool. And they're really familiar, all of them. So if you know one of them, you can easily learn the other one. But we just think it would be nice that if a student learns Figma in the beginning, they then can also use Adobe when they have taken both courses here. So it's just a way to knowing more tools. Yes. And I think right now there's in UI design, we will learn Adobe InDesign or other Adobe things. Adobe actually has something called XD, which is just a whole package of different elements, but that's where you will be working. We have a collaboration with Adobe, where the plan is that they will give students access to a Creative Cloud, which also have the potential of working with graphical design. So it's just a whole package of being interested in UI, UX, and graphic design. So that will be the XD part of Adobe that will be used on the user interface course. And then another question. I think that's just an answer from Ilmas.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, you can still write some questions if you want, and then we can just go back to them. And then I think Maya will just continue. But just if something pops up, just write in the chat.
All right. I saw a question, but we'll get back to that. Just to say it again, that it's the first time we do user interface, because we wanted to build upon that the students could build upon what they learned in UX. So in this spring, it will be our first UI course, and we are very excited about it. More about how it is to be a ReDI student. The framework, all the details is here, that it's every Tuesday, and it's in the evening, 5:30 to 8:30, and it will start in February 2nd and end in the beginning of May. And then we'll have a break in the Easter. So in total, it's 13 Tuesdays, where you will only be there 3 hours, but then you have some homework during each session with some assignments as well. And there will be around 3 to maximum 5 hours of homework. That's the idea. Of course, you're welcome to do more if you just want to go ahead. But you should be able to do the course properly if you spend between 3 and 5 hours at homework. And some students here can also correct me if I'm wrong. That was the idea. The courses will be held at some IT companies. We don't know for sure where we'll be, but we are right now finalizing the contract things with the second place, but one of them is going to be Dansk IT. But I cannot say for sure where in Copenhagen that the UX and UI will be, but it will be someplace, somewhere in Copenhagen at a company. But it's very important for us right now in these days with the corona that we'll find a place where we can be and where it's not, where we're not going to be locked down. And then I've put in this corona thing because I want to highlight that we do have physical classes. It's face-to-face teaching, which we really do a lot to keep because what we have right now is just not the same as being in a room together. Even though it can work out sometimes, it's just not the same and it doesn't give the same value in the teaching. So we do take care of each other. We do, when we walk around, we are wearing masks, there are distance, and we do have very small classes. So we do meet all the official restrictions or guidelines. But I also want to highlight that we put a lot of effort in adapting to the situation all the time. Yes, for example, if this fall that we could only be 10 people, then we made smaller classes, and in the spring, of course, no one knows the situation there, so we can't answer questions about the size of the classes yet and how many students we can take in, but hopefully it opens up again, and if not, we'll keep classes to 7 students and 2 teachers each time. So you can still be able to show up. And we're working with some other models that could work. But it's just important for us to highlight that we really want to everyone to be safe, both teachers and students. So we do put a lot of in this. Yes. And what you can expect from us as a student. As I said, these courses is free, so you get free training in a very high quality from these, we said, amazing volunteers, and we really mean that. It's all volunteers, and they have different backgrounds from the fields they're teaching, from UX, from UI, and they only do it because they're so eager to give away their knowledge to you and to work with you about how you can proceed in the ways you want to use this in your personal career. So they are amazing. And then if you need a laptop, you can borrow it from us. And then you get help and assistance from the team and the teachers. Yes, I hope you agree in all this. All of you are already students. Yeah. What we expect from you is that you're there on time, of course, because the teachers prepare for a whole session, and that you will be at class every time. And we know that this situation is special, and sometimes you are ill or have children that you have to stay home, something like that. You wait for a corona answer. We know that, but to get a certificate, you have to show up at least 10 out of 13 times. And we hope that everyone really try to schedule so they can be there every time. We also know that at this current UX course, you have been really good at writing in Slack, the communication channel, to each other if you were not able to be there, if someone else could share the learnings and stuff. So that's also a possibility to help each other out in this, yeah, kind of hard situation at the moment. Then we would like from you to, as a student in ReDI School, to participate actively and to also bring all your uncertainty forward if you have questions also today, just like, I don't understand what you're saying, what was that word, then please say it, because then it's our fault that we haven't been able to explain the terms, for example. So always feel free to ask and share your perspectives and point of views. That's a big value in ReDI School as well. And then, of course, that you do your homework as active participation, because otherwise it's very little what you can do from time to time. And we have this idea of a flipped classroom, so you do a lot of the learning yourself at home, and then you bring all your questions to the class where you can ask teachers. So it's a shame if you don't spend the hours at home trying to proceed in your own learning process. And then last here, it's not mandatory, but we hope and expect from you that you will participate in some of the other things that we offer, the workshops and career advising and company visits. We also have a demo day at the end of each semester, where students will present what they learned on their project. Students from both student groups, and we will get the whole ReDI School and some partners and stuff. So from our perspective, it's also part of ReDI School, this whole package, because that's what also brings the feeling to students that you're not alone in this, and you can help each other out, and you can get a network and stuff. Yes, so we hope that if you apply for the course, that you are willing to do these things. And then maybe you saw this on the website, you had to scroll by to push the button, but I just want to highlight it, the selection criteria. Just so it's transparent, that it's for women with background as refugee or migrant, and it doesn't matter for how long you've been here. It's just not for people who are born and raised in Denmark. And you're highly motivated to participate actively, as I just said, and that you have thought about what you want to get out of the course and use it for. It's okay if you have a professional background from something completely different, and you just want to change career path. That's fine, as long as you have thought it through, so it's not just some idea, because we want to give the seats to those who can actually benefit the most from it. Yeah, so that's why we prioritize applicants who has an idea of how they want to use it. But it's not like you have to have an actual plan for your career or life ready. It's just that you have an idea of what you want to use it for. Then we have put here that you cannot obtain these skills in other ways. And that's also based on what I just said, that we want to give the seats to those who need it the most. So if you actually do know a lot of the terms and can obtain the skills yourself, for example, in online teaching somewhere else, then we'd rather give the seat to someone who need the help that we can provide. And then we say here that you are prioritized if you're unemployed or have a job that is not within your field of education, because we know that many of you do have jobs, but it's not something you wished for, because you actually have an education and a background in a field, or you want to change your field in a certain direction, and everyone just needs money on the table. So it doesn't matter if you're already full-time employed. If it's not within your field of education, then you're still a relevant student in ReDI School. If you're a full-time student enrolled in, for example, a university, then you might be down prioritized, because we think that then there is already some sort of network opportunities compared to those of you who might not have a network or very limited network. Yes. But an important thing to say here is that these are just the selection criteria as a list. And all of you are welcome to apply, and then we take a look of the pool of applicants each semester. And if you are in doubt, if you are the sort of students we are looking for, then just please apply, because maybe there is an extra seat, and then we can always take you in. Yes. So, and you're always free to ask me as well if you have any questions. Then I want to say a little bit about the process from here. You already signed up for the info day, and here we are. So next step is to apply online for a course, and the application form opens December 3rd in 3 days. So we'll just put the link on the website, and I will also send you an email when it opens, just as a reminder. And then you just go in there, fill out the application form, and it's open until January 10. So you do have a lot of time if you have to think it through. And if you know someone else who could be interested, please spread the word, and they also have time to apply. The application form closes January 10. And then we take a look of all the applicants and try to put together, see which students could meet the criteria based on the information from the application form. And then we invite the qualified candidates to an interview. And it's those of you who already been to an interview, I hope you didn't find it like intimidating or anything. The idea is that it should be just an informal chat and nothing like a job interview or anything. It's just to make sure that you're maybe too good already, because then you would waste your time and we would waste a seat at the course. So it's just to get a chat with you about your thoughts, because it's very limited in an application form what you can type in. So it's just for you to elaborate a bit on it, and we can have a talk about if this is for you or if you should be directed somewhere else. So if you apply for one of the courses, please mark your calendar on January 18 and 20. Because one of these days the interviews will be, and we will of course let you know in an email before and after January 10 if you are invited for an interview or not. And after talking with the students one-on-one at the interviews or the applicants, then the January 22nd, there will be response to admission if you are enrolled in the course or not. And if we can't give you a seat, it's probably not because you were not qualified, it's just because we have limited space. So we also offer some of you to be on our waiting list, because sometimes students have to drop out because life happens. Yes, and then the semester starts February 2nd. So that's the process from here. And please let me know if you have any questions to that as well. Yes, and Frida will just answer some of your questions that you have put in the chat until now.
Yes, I think there's maybe only 2 questions right now, and I think Elna's actually answered one of them. So thanks a lot for that, Elnas. No, it's just some questions related to job opportunities. And it's also important to say that we can't guarantee anybody to find a job because they have studied at ReDI School. But what we have seen the most is actually also what Elnas have written, that it's possible to get an internship where you work with UX design, and that would also be the hope with the UI design. And then afterwards, there would often be an opportunity to stay in a company if you do an internship with them. And there's a job asking if you can apply, or a question asking if you can apply for a student job. And I think student jobs are only for students at a university, or what's it called? A real educational institute, and not a NGO, NGO, a formal, a real one, no, a formal one. We're still seen as, or we are a non-governmental organization. So our certificate will be a course that you have taken. So it's not the same as a university degree or doing a semester course. But it's also important to point out that not that many people actually study UX or UI design at a university. It is possible to do it at ITU, but when people work with UX and UI, many of them has also taken it as a course afterwards. So it is something that you are able to work with and can be really competent working with after a 12-week course. So it is some real competences that you can apply for a job with. And then there's a question: will it make any sense to start with UI, or is it a good idea to start with UX? You should always start with UX. It's the only option we have. Then you can continue on UI afterwards, but UX is where you start. I think that's also a question from Goha asking to what extent you will be using coding skills in UX and UI. And actually, you won't be using coding skills when you work with UX and UI, but if you work as a web designer, then a part of it can also be coding skills, but it's not a requirement for working with UX and UI that you know how to code. But there's just differences when it comes to different companies, how they define their own roles. Some of them like people to have all sorts of broad competences, and other places they would like a specialist. So that's just a difference. How long will it take to finish UX and UI? All our courses are 12 weeks. So it's 12 weeks, or 13 weeks actually. Yeah, no. 13 weeks. We just changed it. Yeah, last semester, or this semester we just had, it was 12, but now we have added 1 week more to give you time to learn a bit more also. So yeah, that's how long it will take, and it's 3 hours every week. You will be in class, and then homework afterwards.
Så kan man til UI til efteråret.
Hvad?
Så kan man til UI til efteråret.
Yeah, yeah, you can have UI, like if you have a UX course now, then you could have UI in the fall. So if you work CMS-based websites like WordPress, would you UX or UI could be applied here? Actually, I don't know that much about that. I don't know how it works with WordPress. I think it's some as I see the field, it's competences that would be really relevant. I don't know if it's like something that you integrate. I don't know exactly how you work with it in your job. But I think definitely that UX and UI will be relevant to build upon it, to learn more, so you have a broader profile. And if somebody had a question early on that we haven't answered yet, you are ready just to type it again. Mm-hmm. And also, if we didn't answer your questions fully, then you can also ask it again, so we can try to elaborate.
Mm-hmm. Frida?
Yeah.
We'll be finishing with the UX course, but we should apply for UI if you want to start it online.
Yeah, you should apply for UI, so we know how many applicants we have.
Okay.
And then there's a question: what are the different UI tools we will learn? The tools you will learn is Adobe XD. That's the only tool we'll be using for UI. So that's what we will be using in the course.
It was just Dipsy to elaborate on to all of you who are studying UX now or has been with ReDI School earlier in UX. If you want to continue in and studying UI in the spring, please go and fill out the application form, because then we know that you mean it. I know that I already contacted you about it, and it was also to know if you wanted to continue, so I knew how many other people I should invite, like earlier students, for example. So if you want to take the UI course, please apply as well, so we know that you want to do it, and also because you will then fill out the current info on you in the application form. If you're in a job or you're, everything, all the questions you will answer might have changed since you applied half a year ago or 1 year ago. Yes.
Yeah.
And please just write more questions if you have any. You want to answer one?
There's a question related to the projects. If you will be doing a project with any company in the end. At the UX course, you will choose a project from the beginning. It's our third semester that we have user experience. The first semester, or the first time we offered the course, students just chose their own project based on a web page that they would like to make better. And this semester we have some cases that we provided from different companies, and we will stick to that format, but we will try to figure out the best way to do it and to figure out into what extent that you will be collaborating with the companies and what kind of cases it should be. So the plan is that it will be a project offered by a real company from the beginning that you will be working with, and then in the end it will be an opportunity also to show them your design. And on the UI course, it's the first time we offer it this semester, so we haven't decided upon all the details from the project yet. We will be having a workshop with the teachers who's going to teach it later in December. So far they have developed the curriculum for the course, but they haven't looked into details about the project. But as it looks right now, the plan is also to have a project that you will start pretty early on in the course, and that you will then work on the rest of the semester.
Sorry?
Then we have a question here. How many students will you accept for each course, just to know the chances? And for now, we can't say for sure, because it depends, of course, on the Corona situation. If it opens up and we can be more than 10 people together, gathered in the spring, then we will allow up to 15 students per class. But as it looks like right now, and people are going home for Christmas, we don't believe in this. So our plan B is to still keep these smaller classes, and then we can't guarantee right now how many students, but hopefully still 14 UI students and 14 UX students, because then we can have 2 small classes of each, because it's 7 students plus 2 teachers and then 1 of us present. But I won't promise anything, because it also, it depends on locations and teachers and stuff. So between, my best answer right now is between 7 and 15 for UI and 7 and 15 for UX. Hope that answered your question. Otherwise, just let me know in the chat. No more questions? You want to say something? No. If you have any more questions, just please bring them on. And to all of you who are or former UX students, if you have anything to add about how it is to be a student here in ReDI School that you think we missed, feel free to just take the word as well, because to be honest, I mean, it's you, it's you who know how it is. So feel free to do that. If I didn't mention it to all of you, we have the question here if it's for free. Yes, it's for free. All our courses are for free. good question as well. Anyone who wants to share their perspective from UX is also fine if not.
Well, I just want to say that when I came to know about UX and ReDI, I just knew the term that there's something called UX. I didn't have a clue what it is. And I just can't actually believe that I did a project in it. And we'll be having our presentation on Wednesday. So it's like really amazing. And the mentors, I think everybody is like super nice. Because there were many times when I was not sure about my assignments, I just dropped a question there, like in the Slack channel, and I always got a response, and sometimes like a really, really long feedback. So like mentors, they really, devote their time and patience to help us out. I think it's a really, really great platform. Thank you so much.
It's really nice to hear, Depsy, and thanks for elaborating on it. Actually, I also just wanted to add that the teachers are really great. They work with UX and UI professionally, so they also know a lot about the field, and they just really love it and want to let other people know how great it is as well. So it's some really motivated teachers, and I think all of the students learn it really quickly. UX is not in the same way as, for example, or UI as well, it's not in the same way as, for example, learning to code. There's often a lot of frustration involved in having to learn to code or do data analytics, as it's some skills that has to be built from the bottom in a different way. UX and UI can of course also be very difficult. It's just a different way of art where I at least my understanding is that it's something that you more easily find a confidence when you work with it, where coding can also be really frustrating. And if some students has learned coding and also knows UX, tell me if I'm wrong, but that's just how I have experienced it. Because it's very different fields. And that also leads me to the next question. There's a person asking who's unsure if she wants to take UX or data analytics, and don't know if she can take both of them, and how to go about it. I think if some of you are doubting which kind of course you're interested in, it just makes a lot of sense trying to figure out like, how do I actually like to work? Because it's two very different categories. UX and UIs is way more focused upon humans and working with humans and understanding users, and then working with design as well. It's a very creative process often. And is something where you always work in close collaboration with others, and will be in contact with a lot of other people to do it. Where, for example, that data analytics, if you enjoy to sit more time each day doing some technical work, or like to have your own space instead of wanting to talk with people all the time, then maybe that's also relevant to consider. Of course, coding and data analytics can also be very collaborative because everything is done in collaboration on a project, but it's just different fields of study. So yeah, maybe starting to answer a question whether or not you want a lot of social interaction and creativity in your job, or if you also want that some sort of creativity, but also like to go a lot into detail with what you do and focus on the same job for a long time. And I'm actually not totally sure if it answered the question. I think you can apply for both courses, and then Maya can take it from there, maybe, I don't know.
I totally agree with everything. I just want to add one thing, that in the application form, you can fill out your first priority and second priority. And then you are asked to type in a few words about your experience within the courses you apply for. So if you type in 2 courses, then you will just write your concern or thoughts in this box, and then we might help you to choose one of the courses which would be most relevant for you to go for. Yeah. And it looks like there are no new questions. So I don't know if any of you have. Are we also going to learn UI testing? Frida, it's you.
Yes, you're going to learn the whole process from initiating a project and finalizing it, and testing is also a part of that. Both in the UX and the UI course, there will be a testing phase that you will also learn. So yeah, testing is a part of it.
All right. So this is the last chance for questions here. If you have any. This coding course also starting in February, and if anyone do the both course UX and coding at time, good question. All courses, all the tech courses, the JavaScript, data analytics, UX, and UI are at the same time. So you can only join one. And a lot of students during the time has said, no, why have you done this? So I cannot join both, but it's also to give the opportunity to more women to join ReDI School. So that's why we've made it this way, or one of the reasons. It's also practicality, so there's one of us at each location. But it unfortunately means that you can't join both at the same semester. But as you all see here, we have a lot of UX students enrolled now that want to continue at UI, and we also have coding students, JavaScript, who afterwards took UX, and UX who afterwards took JavaScript. So it's all possible, just not at the same semester. Hope that answered the question. All right.
Maya and Frida, can I ask, what is the possibility of getting an opportunity as an intern after this UX course? Like, generally, do people get selected as an interns, or is it just like an introduction, basic course, and then we should do something else after that?
Do you mean selected as interns in other companies?
Yeah, like to start working in the real world.
We do try to help you in your career path by giving you the skills and the career advising, but it's not like we are presenting or have a catalog of, for example, jobs or hvad hedder det? Internship, sorry. So we don't guarantee an internship, and I can't right now say like the possibility of getting an internship, because it also depends a lot on your prior work in the field and all other things at stake when you apply for a job. So it depends on each person. But I would say, and I would love all of you who are already students in ReDI School to elaborate on the answer if you have anything to add, because you're also invited to the, for example, a career Slack channel, the communication channel, where some extra courses and workshops are offered and stuff. But it's not like we do offer a lot of internships or have agreement with companies about it. We would love to, and we have tried, but it's a bit difficult to make them promise to take some ready interns. So
No. I was not asking in that way. I was just asking that do like student like us, do they get opportunities as interns? Like after finishing this course, have people being appointed as interns? So that we have an idea of our like chances that
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
that's been happening. So
Yeah, it is happening. Anne, Anne from the ReDI team, who is working with the career advising, you know her. She's just done a 6 month after ReDI School survey with the ones who finished before 6 months ago. And there she could see that actually a lot of the students got into a job or got into an internship. So yes, it happens. And why I'm talking about it this way is just not to promise anyone anything.
no, that I know, of course. That
Yeah, I know, you know. But yes, it happens. It happens. And she just shared it this morning with us in the team, and it was so uplifting to see. I don't remember the percentage, but actually a good amount of the students got into a job. Yeah,
that's great.
And also Elnas, who's here, who also presented, she works as a UX and UI intern. So she's one of the students who have gotten a job afterwards, or internship, which is often the first step into a job. I think it works the same way with ReDI School as anything else. Every time you learn something new, it's about figuring out how to present it on your resume, and figuring out what kind of jobs you can apply for. So it's the same here. You will never be guaranteed any job, no matter what you study, even though it's a sad truth. But it will always help you to have a certificate and also getting some concrete skills. So yeah, the same applies here as anywhere else. It's just about searching for the job, and it will help, and her career advisors will help lead you in the right direction.
I also want to add that we do in ReDI School have an alumni group for former students. So if you once have been enrolled in ReDI School, you can join the alumni group. And our mission is to elaborate or build upon this to also offer different things for the alumni group in the future. Yes, and then I also want to say that we know that most of you have either got the feeling that it's not possible to get a job because it can be lonely, and you can feel isolated, and many of you have applied for a lot of jobs and don't get any success job related out of it. So we know that many of you, at least we see that a lot of students when starting in ReDI School feel kind of frustrated career-wise. So we really want to put an effort in this as well, and Anne is working hard to all the time elaborate on this area. Yes. If anyone has a last question, then type it in now in the chat. Doesn't look like it. All right. If you have questions, okay, there's one here. How you can help. Mariam think this is cool what we're doing and asks how you can be helping, which is nice. Frida is our volunteer coordinator, and you can volunteer in ReDI School in many ways. So if you go to the website and go to join us volunteer, then you can see the area fold out, because you can be a teacher, you can be a career advisor, mentor, do a workshop, engage in different ways. Yeah.
I'm muted. I will start from the beginning. Where did I start? I just want to say that the opportunity of doing a workshop is a great way of helping out. We do have different kinds of workshops, and if any of you are from a field where you think that other students could also benefit from it, then you're more than welcome to reach out to us. I have, for example, talked with Goha, who's in this meeting, about she knows more HTML and CSS than students learn at the JavaScript course we have. So she, for example, thinks it could be interesting to teach the other students a bit more about it. So if any of you have a specific knowledge from a field that you know the other ones would just love or is related to what you will learn in class, then we are always open for you doing a workshop or something like that. But to begin with, just think about like where you want to go with your career. Right now you're here to hear about being a student. So you're always welcome to start out as a student. And if you want to help in another way, you can do that afterwards. But yeah, in the beginning, just think about what you want to learn.
All right. Then here at the end, I just want to highlight, as we already said, but the UX course is possible to enter even you don't know what UX means. So don't be scared if you're completely new in this and just find it interesting. Just go and apply and let's see what happens. Maybe this could be the start of something new. So just it's important for us to say that you shouldn't be scared of all the terms just said out loud in this info day as well. And now here at the end, if you have any questions, that was what I was saying before. If you have any questions tomorrow or the day after or next week, just feel free to contact me on email or give me a call. You're always welcome to do that. And then, of course, just spread the word if you know anyone else who could be interested in applying. We will upload these info day recordings at the website so they can find them there. Here at the end, we just want to finalize with a little question, two more questions at the end. Let me see here. So if you all go back to the if you all go back to the slido.com, then you'll find a new question. And no rush, you go to slido.com and you type in the code again.
And we're not we're not sensitive to what's critique. So if you didn't get all your questions answered, or if you feel that it wasn't clear what we were saying, we rather know so we can make it better the next time. I just want to say that not everything we do is perfect. If you thought that.
Okay, that's a really good point, that we are trying to learn as well all the time. So it's feedback from you who make us learn as well. Yes. And I can see here 12 of you typed your answer, that you got all your questions answered all right. That is great. 92%, and then still 8% you're still in doubt of some things, which is completely fine. Not everything can be settled right now, maybe. Please get back to us if you want to. Let's see the rest of you, if you are able to go to slido.com and type in the code you see here on the screen.
Yeah.
It's because It doesn't matter. I also want to say, if you want to try out some technical skills, you can also just scan the QR code. It works and it's really nice. I don't know really about that code because in the beginning they felt like everybody should use it, and I don't know anybody who uses it. But if you're one of the ones who do, then just try it out and we'll know if it works.
All right. All right, thank you for all your answers. It looks like a lot of you got your questions answered, so that's great. Then we have one more question for you, which is, how would you describe this session in one word? And it's anonymous, so feel free to pick a word that you do think is suitable for this info day. Informative, perfect, great. It's cool and great, awesome, motivated, very informative, fun. Oh, fun. I'm so glad, because we think sometimes we're a bit fun. Oh. It is actually one of our values, not for us, but in the teaching, that it should be fun to be at a course in the classrooms. So we hope that it will be as well. Glitz, awesome.
Actually, that was me who wrote fun, because I think actually it is fun to attend UX course. It has been really fun for me because I'm doing coding as well, and I feel like pulling my hair sometimes. But when I'm in the UX class or doing assignments related to UX, it's like, it's sort of relaxing and very interesting.
Great to hear, Dipti. I'm so glad. I'm glad. All right. Thank you for all your answers. I think we will just leave this open with all the words. If some of you want to dive in a word, and else we just want to say thank you for today and thank you for joining this online version of an info day. Yes, thank you so much, and thank you for all your sharing and all your good questions.